I met Andy a few months ago when I stopped by San Diego during a layover and booked an impromptu skydive out of his job. Andy is a seasoned skydiver who has been skydiving since he was 19 and has been running his own skydiving shop for over 2 decades. Something that immediately drew me to Andy was his almost boyish enthusiasm and his infectiously positive energy. I'm somebody who's insanely afraid of heights, to the point where if I were just to look down from a second floor railing at a shopping center, my knees would just uncontrollably shake. And having actually tried skydiving once over a decade ago, it was by far one of the scariest experiences in my life. I remember buying a photo package at a time thinking I looked super cool in my skydiving pictures, when in reality, I actually blacked out for a bit as soon as I plunged into the sky, and I just looked like some half dead goldfish in most of my pictures. There were quite a few life circumstances that prompted me to jump out of a plane again this time. I was craving for a personal mental reset, and taking another ultimate leap of faith, in a sense, was the first thing that popped into my mind. What I captured here is more than just a spontaneous skydiving adventure. Beyond the adrenaline rush, I wanted to share some deeper psychological and philosophical takeaways from my conversation with Andy and from my own reflections. And I hope for whoever is watching, you'll find meaning in these conversation snippets and reflections. I hope these perspectives will serve you in however small ways as you reflect on your own life's biggest fears or just some of your daily challenges.
My 7-year-old daughter said, I said, "Do you have a good day or a bad day today?" And she said, "I had a bad day." I'm like, "Oh, really? What do you mean you had a bad day?" We went to Dave and Buster's. We went and got froyo, which is her thing, and we saw and seen a movie, Willy Wonka. And why is it a bad day? She goes, "Well, I was supposed to be with Isabel. Though other things were really good, and we did all these fun things, but I wanted to see my friend Isabel." And I'm like, "So, sweetie, when you focus on the one thing that you didn't get to do, and that makes it the bad day, but look at all the things that we did get to do that were good. So you choose to focus on the one bad thing you didn't get to do, or we focus on all the fun things that you did get to do, and guess what? You'll change that bad day into a good day." And it's worked. She said, "Did you have a good day or a bad day?" It was it was a good day because we did this instead of focusing on the bad.
Andy's story about his daughter is a subtle but powerful reminder that we often have more control over our experiences than we realize. By consciously shifting our focus, we can literally change the narrative in our own minds. It's so easy to get fixated on one thing that's wrong, the other thing that didn't go our way. We're not talking about ignoring the negatives, but rather highlighting the power of expanding our field of vision, about balancing the negative out with the positive. Even in the middle of a challenging situation, there are always things we can appreciate, things we can be grateful for. And sometimes simply acknowledging those things can change our entire outlook.
I'm going to paraphrase because it was Eugene Levy said it. Sometimes you just have to put blinders on and just focus through and don't get overwhelmed with all the other stuff. Just focus and just keep walking, and it usually works out. If you're at A and we need to get to Z, don't get so focused on QRS when we're nowhere near that. Just stay focused on the ABC, and then when you get through that, DEF, and do the stuff, and just keep working your way. If you get M done before early, that's great, but don't get focused on the end stuff that doesn't matter. Just keep working your way towards the goal, and it'll happen.
Andy talks about pushing through challenges with intention here. He quotes Eugene Levy on the concept of finding that laser focus on blocking out noise and just take the next right step. We all get a sense of being overwhelmed sometimes, and when you're drowning in to-dos, it's easy to get stuck in that tunnel vision, fixated on the problem instead of the bigger picture. When we feel threatened or stressed, our brains tend to narrow our focus as a survival mechanism. It's like we go into this fight or flight mode, and suddenly the world seems so much smaller, and that can be incredibly limiting in our daily lives. It's also like a mental game of skydiving, not just about jumping out of a plane, but facing any challenge head on. In those moments, put on your metaphorical blinders to narrow your vision to what's directly in front of you. It's that idea of choosing your focus, deciding where to direct your attention, even when things feel chaotic, like being in freefall in the sky.
I would say go skydiving. It's honestly, it's a great reset. It's an amazing thing. Look what I've just done. If I can do this, I can start my own business. I can. You're going to be euphoric when you're down. It's very empowering. So I love skydiving.
Andy understood how nervous I still felt while getting prepped this time, but he told me that I should try to keep my eyes open because I'd see a lot more. I was battling serious nerves, felt like I was going to throw up, and questioning my motives the entire way to the drop zone. Even though rationally I fully trusted my tandem partner Simeon, a super seasoned jumper who used to be part of Princess Diana's Royal Infantry and have trained freaking Navy SEALs for their parachute jumps. So if anybody were to push me out of a plane and help me land safely, it would be somebody like this big British dude who looked straight out of the Avengers. Even though I also knew I should probably follow Andy's recommendation to keep my eyes open during the dive this time, I still felt so immersed in fear, anxiety, and nerves leading up to the jump that I still leaned 95% toward closing my eyes during the free fall. Until the moment finally came and I felt Simeon's push. I closed my eyes for a split second, but instead of blacking out again like my first skydive a decade ago, I remembered all the instructions and also immediately reopened my eyes during freefall this time and consciously chose to live in this present and take it all in. I chose to fully take in all this view and all the sensations I felt, the spectacular coastal views, along with the not so pleasant freefall sensations that just made me feel like I was drowning in air. I decided to force myself to cut those stubborn ties to my anxieties and fears, to just allow myself to fully live and breathe in that moment. It was a moment of complete surrender, of letting go of certain control. It was about forcing yourself to confront your fears head on, and in doing so, reminding yourself that you are stronger than you thought you were. And landing back on Earth, I felt oddly physically and mentally liberated. A great reset, indeed. Even the next day, I was still bathing in that post skydiving afterglow. My entire body just felt lighter, and it felt like I simply didn't give much of a flying duck anymore about all the same life circumstances and daily stressors that led me to jump out of the plane this time. My reflections here isn't to encourage everybody to now go jump out of a plane, but rather sharing some thoughts around how sometimes we need those experiences that shake us up, that force us to step out of our comfort zones and confront our fears in a visceral way to help you reinstill confidence in yourself and gain a fresh perspective on life.